We need to provide, yes. I brought this, showed it.
Do you hear us? That's
21. That makes me like.
Is it not?
I know. Oh, good. Oh, good. It is. Advertising.
Yeah.
Did you get that one to our,
Online
to our,
thing.
to our friends?
I want to see the names so I can just introduce them and then you look over to your gallery. Yeah, you get this way gallery. I don't say it. You'll do shares. And then you'll. Really do all that.
You scared?
And I've already not paid attention.
No, you got
You just showed me what I needed, but everything else is still on my brain.
Share screen, and you should just, it could be your whole screen, usually don't.
Well, they could just reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous.
And then-
Do I think I would?
If I'm
There
doing,
was, that.
plus, the next, you can,
So
share sound, that's it.
That's horrible.
No, see it.
It's-
And
Gosh.
and the farmers who want
We'll do
to.
that.
So
So you want to introduce that?
in every iteration of the word.
Curveball, have to share share whatever with us.
Share screen.
Yeah.
Share sound.
Janice, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Right.
That's all. You know what I was doing?
You know, where the arena is there. It's just. I know, I'm just saying. Yes, yes.
So I would be in range.
It's off and on. So I can. Anyway, I'm back issued. Should I got my car? So.
Is it?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were there.
They split it all.
Where was it?
It's fine. That's what I'm gonna give it.
What's it called?
We're gonna be starting in 5 minutes. There's some traffic. Let the drivers get in.
So it's apparently, you know, like.
Paid everybody.
How does that do?
Oh.
That's your 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This is ours for 10 minutes.
They're interactive.
Yeah, I've seen,
So,
I guess, is there a couple of parents that run that?
But it's still going.
They've been up and on with that.
Part of my Monday night, like.
That's cool. How did you feel leaving?
Kathy Thomas, she was out.
make sure.
Specifics. And had to pay, inheritance now. Things they don't. Not everyone's got that. Four states.
John, what? Dogs. We know dogs.
Yeah.
I think you got that.
We're pretty unruly boys sometimes. You might need candy.
Always handy.
No, treatment centers.
We went to the RX. There's a drug company.
I went last year. That was awesome.
It's gonna be. I don't wanna do it, like, on the list of your needs.
That was really interesting. Look, you won't find one for them.
No, there's a lot of.
I figured that would find it.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I went to, they have the director.
Oh, yeah.
Leading it.
Yeah.
They're also very like insightful, and very picture of like fentanyl, cartel.
I got that on here.
Yeah, it was so interesting on why you don't see heroin as much. They took all these facilities, they can process it here and just introduce fentanyl into their testing system or whatever. Not scared.
Yeah, I've got one side that shows like past year drug use. Okay. Now there's like.
Yeah. Like from like I think it's one of the.
Yeah, I don't. I love you. Yeah, good to see you again.
Yeah.
It's so, like,
You are such a fine.
the kids are all low.
You're so supportive.
They're trying to have this move out.
Oh, you haven't met in person? Oh, yeah, because we were gonna have to walk. Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Why not? You're right. Chris, can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. You know, it's for all that side conversation, right?
What's that?
Did you hear all that side conversation just now?
We can go along with it.
No, okay, we'll try to be more direct for the next time.
Yeah, I mean, you could work around now, Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I, whenever, you know, We have a lot of education happening today. Welcome to the May council meeting. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do quick introductions. Our educators today, I'll introduce in a second with the RX Summit, and that is always filled with bountiful amounts of information, so we want to give them enough time. So I will say, if there's anything that you have to promote from your organization or that you have seen, now's the time to say it, but make sure, let's keep it kind of short and sweet. That being said, I'm gonna go first. Rachel Caden. Thank you. Program coordinator, program director of the Forsyth County Drug Awareness Council. So in front of you, we have flyers, we love flyers here. So the first thing, the walk, it was rescheduled. I have no idea what that's going to mean for the turnout, but what I do know is that we are all hopefully going to continue to promote it and push it. And the vision is more people are gonna be able to come than before, because we rescheduled it, right?
That's the attitude.
Yes, so, as you can see, there are flyers and QR code for registration. Please get the word out. I'll be sending lots of emails, and I'm sure all of you guys love and read all of it. And that you can send out and forward to more people. Get the word out on this. Second, this meeting, May 13th, it's kind of an important meeting. It's a mental health meeting. There's events as well there at the Forsyth Conference Center. I was told that if any of y'all's organization wants a table at this event as well, at the end of this meeting, please come tell me and we'll get you a table at this event as well, May 13th. And then last is a scan of a survey that is being taken about minors using alcohol, trying to gather some more data and assess some tools, assessment tools. So if you could, at any point, scan and do that, that would be wonderful. And then my next announcement, so Sweet Caroline actually got a internship to be able to become a counselor. We knew that we were gonna lose her. We knew that this was going to happen. She wanted to experience you guys and meet everybody and see kind of how the field works. She got to do that. She was so much help, but she is going to be leaving us. Thank you. I'm very happy, everybody. We're really excited for you. And we actually, Sam, just hired Charlie here. Charlie. I'll let him introduce himself, but we are excited to have him on the team. He's enthusiastic, and you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, hey, I'm Charlie Houston, and I'll be the project coordinator, and yeah, really excited. For the last 2 years, I've been in Atlanta, and me and Caroline were really close, and so yeah, excited to be working with you guys.
Welcome. And a girl from Caroline, so if he doesn't do good, we can be mad at her. All right, that's all I've got. I'm going to pass it this way.
Awesome. My name is Emily Pettis. I am a substance use counselor at the Impact Program. I'm currently at North Forsyth High School, working with the students there. Couple of things we've done in the community. We went to Little Mill and it presented in the health talks there, and just completed the North Forsyth health talks Monday and Tuesday. So that was awesome.
Hello, I'm Lauren with the Pool Social Program. I am the support group coordinator and yeah. That's it.
Lindsay Simpson for Forsyth County Schools.
Sarah Pedro, Director of Forsyth County Community Connection, which is the Georgia Family Connection Partnership for Forsyth County.
Gavin Brighton, I am the substance prevention coach at ACE, and we just did a parent information session last night with our fellow Ashley and Marty, and it went really well, and I was helping Emily at North with that talks recently.
Hey, I'm Drew, I'm the principal of the Academies of Creative Education, ACE, which is virtual, which is the open campus, and then also Gateway Academy for kids who've gotten in trouble. And these ladies work with me in terms of drug counseling stuff that we do through the school system.
Katie Lamberson, I'm the assistant dean of the College of Health Sciences and Professions at UNG, and I'm also the coordinator of the addiction counseling program here on the campus.
Hey, I'm Adam Miller, so I represent a few relatively local programs: North Georgia Recovery Center, Tennessee Wellness Center, not so local, that's in Knoxville, and Red Top Wellness Center is a primary mental health. So
James Jerry with the Community Partners.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Banks, and Therapeutic Recovery Network and Parent Recovery Network.
You'll have some big titles. I'm Susan Tanner. I'm a parent of 2 grown step kids that struggle with addiction. I do a lot of mentoring with middle schoolers, and I've taken on grade school kids lately. So I've been mentoring about 25 years.
I'm Dana Bryan. I'm a former middle school teacher, but I'm the mother of a child who died at 15 because of an overdose. You want me to mention this now? Or
Yeah.
I don't know how many of you got this in the mail, but it came to us. It's addressed to our friends over 21 about how you can order a marijuana 100% legal THC. It says no medical card required, and the website is hellomood.com. I don't know how many of y'all received it, but that was very disappointing to see. I'm sure between the time we got it and now, many people have ordered it. If they received it.
Yellow.
Oh, somebody's on mute. So we're gonna put that on the docket. We have somebody coming in from National Marijuana Institute to educate us on what's going on with the legalization of marijuana and how to stop it, and how it can lead to opioids. So when he comes in, we're gonna have this open discussion about that. So remember that. All right, next we're gonna do, some introductions on Zoom. I cannot see. So first, Chris, could you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Chris Larson. I work for a nonprofit in the golf industry, but I know Katie Lamberson and I spoke to her UNG classes just about addiction, and I don't know if I identify with or how that's put, but I've had a past history of addiction use for quite a long time. And then just, I've dealt with different childhood traumas. And right now I'm just really interested in trying to be involved and be more involved. So that's why I'm here. And thankfully I was let to come sit in with you guys. So thank you so much for letting me be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. I'm glad that you're here. We can definitely get you involved in some things. Katie will give you my info. Next, Maureen.
Hey guys, sorry I can't be there in person, but I'm Maureen Bixler. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and the owner of Live Life Counseling. And I just wanted to announce that two things. We've gotten a lot of calls in the last week. If kids are getting in trouble at school and parents don't know what to do, our intensive outpatient program for the youth would be a really good thing to do over the summer. It addresses the underlying issues of addiction, and it also addresses a lot of the trauma work, but it also is a psychoeducation group about, other things to do besides addiction and why you shouldn't do addiction. So that is an open enrollment right now. And we also offer forensic drug testing. We've been getting a lot of calls for synthetic things. So our drug test does test for synthetic drugs, fentanyl, kratom, and 18 different substances. So, and anyone can walk into Live Life and get a drug screen at any time, and then we can do an intervention or whatever the family needs to get them the help that would help their child or adult. So anyway, thank you.
Awesome, Maureen, thank you. And everybody, if you guys have announcements, if you send them to me, I'll email them to everybody so we have it all written on paper. So just email me what you're saying. Nancy?
Hi, I'm Nancy Smallwood. I'm the grant manager in Forsyth County. We are currently working on the Georgia Opioid Crisis Abatement Trust grant. And we're trying to include the Drug Awareness Council and the counselors for the school system. So we're looking for letters of support for our grant and any kind of cooperation that y'all would like to provide.
I'm gonna send that out in the email as well, but again, we need testimony saying why this is important. So I'll send that out. Mike?
Good morning, everyone. My name's Mike Ruder. I am a sergeant with Forsyth County's Sheriff's Office. I am currently assigned as the supervisor to our narcotics unit, which is the Johns Creek and Forsyth County Drug Task Force. I basically supervise all my narcotics investigators from both agencies when it comes to any drug investigations and any drug activity and complaints. And we try and investigate some of the overdoses within the county.
Thank you, Mike. And Miss Janice?
Hi, I'm Janice Nyer. I do the council's newsletter monthly.
Thank you, Janice. And Tom, AKA Nothing But Trouble Cleveland.
Absolutely. I'm Tom Cleveland. I'm the representative from the local school board here in Forsyth County and happen to be running for office again. So I'd like to keep that position. So if you know anybody in District 3, ask them to check my button, because everybody's saying that I'm an evil, sit around, do nothing kind of person. So you know that, you know I'm trouble. So that's been confirmed. And I appreciate y'all's support and all that we do, and continue to look forward to continue doing what we're doing, irregardless if I'm on the board or not. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom. Emily?
Good morning, everyone. My name's Emily Miko. I'm a supervisor at DFACS. So within my role, I supervise all new referrals of abuse and neglect received in Forsyth County. Have a good morning, everyone.
Thank you. Miss Marty?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Marty Rivera. I'm the co-chair with Ashley Dickerson of the parent support group. And just want to share that over the last few months, we've had some great response to our flyer that we sent out, what to expect when you suspect. Had some parents reach out about that. And then we also had our parent meeting with Gabby yesterday at Gateway, and I thought it was really successful, and I can't wait to continue to reach out to parents and help support them through this journey. Thanks.
Thank you, Marty. Miss Chelsea?
I'm Chelsea Clark. I'm the grant administrator for Forsyth County. I work with Nancy Smallwood.
Awesome. And the really cool name Galaxy? Guessing your name isn't Galaxy. Would you like to introduce yourself?
The person who sent us a chat.
Maybe there is a chat message.
No.
Yeah.
May I request, can we adjust the camera? I only see like half the room, if that's possible.
Got it. Okay.
Thanks.
No problem. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move forward. I'm gonna mute you guys. Or you guys can go ahead and mute yourself. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with our educators. We have Danielle, wonderful council member from Revita, and Mr. John Dawson here, who attended the ARC Summit in Atlanta. Lots of information. I'm gonna turn it over to you guys. Thank you very much for coming.
Hi, thank you. I have to sit down, some nerds in the back, but I'm trying to stand. So, all right, I can only see Chris. Chris, thumbs up if you can hear me pretty clearly. Awesome. Let me share screen. That doesn't work.
Cindy Mills wanted to be here, but she had a meeting last week.
Yeah, she. Oh, does it blend with Zoom? That's cool. I see it here. Okay. So, yes, I'm Danielle Rieta, counselor with Avita. Been there a little over 7 years. And this is I think it's my 4th time going to the drug summit, but it's been a little while since I got to attend. And it was Lieutenant John Dawson's first time. I think at first he was like, I'm not sure how this is kind of relevant to what I'm doing. And now he's like, oh, super relevant. It's really cool how many different people you see attending. So I wanted to first explain what the conference is like. For some of you have no idea. And like I know Adam's been, but if you haven't been, really cool structure. I'll go over a little bit of the emerging drug trends. I'll try not to talk too long on cannabis. I could probably talk on that one all day long. But of course, cannabis was mentioned, heroin, there's a focus there, xylazine. Georgia was represented. There was a panel from the development of House Bill 1013. And then I really want to focus on this Better Without It messaging campaign that came out of Florida. I think that's going to be the most helpful for the council, that maybe we can do something like this media messaging campaign. And then I'll turn it over to John for his piece. This is their branding, their kind of mission statement. they say it's the most influential gathering for stakeholders to discuss what is working in prevention, treatment, and law enforcement, where hope continues. So they do have a little bit of an emphasis on highlighting people in recovery, their testimonies. They had something this year that I hadn't seen before called Hope Ambassadors, and they have like their profile and a little short story on the website if you want to go look for Hope Ambassadors and see. They had them up on the stage at the what we call the plenary sessions. So that was big. There's a lot of continuing education. If you need that for your field, there's a lot of that available. So there's multiple tracks to choose from. There were 9 tracks, and so like clinical, prevention, advocacy, law enforcement, trending topics. So they'll be within like an hour and 15-minute time slot. There's 9 different topics to choose from. So it's hard to pick sometimes. And then you do like 2 of those and then a plenary session. Plenary session are the bigger sessions where they have the keynote speakers from all the heads of agencies. They call it the alphabet soup of agencies. So we had the leaders of like the head of the CDC, the DEA, the FDA, NIH, NIDA, which is National Institute of Drug Abuse. That was Nora Volkow. She's always cool to see. I think she's always there. The ONDCP, I believe that's under the White House, so the Office of National Drug Control Policy. The leader of that was there, and SAMHSA. So it's like I said, drinking from a fire hose. You get a lot of information in 4 days. So of course, attendees are from a variety of those professions: social work, counselors, law enforcement, even people from tech were there about like data tracking, for opiate responses or drug trends. So lots of tech people there and government agencies, of course. Then there's a big exhibit hall that you try to make time to go in. They have kind of times where it's open. They try to do it around the lunch hour, and they have food in there to lure you in there. And then there was like a passport for fun, which I thought would be what you did at the walk last year. We're doing that again. Yes, I love that. And so they had a card. It was like 30 something booths you had to go to, and they had more than that. If you got all of them signed, you could put your card in for a raffle. So again, that was a whirlwind too, trying to visit everybody, take their pamphlets, hear all their info at the exhibit hall, but still fun. So the drugs I kind of heard about, saw the most, of course, there's an emphasis on opiates. This really started because of the heroin epidemic, but they changed the name from, I can't remember, it was like Prescription and Heroin Summit, so now it's Prescription and Illicit Drug Summit. So no, of course, there's more than heroin. I always think it's fascinating to look at the history. If you don't know, I mean, most of you here probably do, but at first it was heroin, and then it was pills, and they locked down on pills, and it went back to heroin, and then now it's, then there was a surge in stimulant use, but now fentanyl's contaminating almost all of that, right? And fentanyl's the old news now. Fentanyl has its own adulterant, if you haven't heard of this one, xylazine. It's a veterinary tranquilizer, not approved for human use. So I think because it's not approved for human use, it's not regulated under the Controlled Substance Act. Does that sound right? So I don't know how the prosecution for that, or if there is any option for that, but it's getting contaminated sometimes on purpose, in fentanyl. Some people are seeking it out, some people don't know. But what happens with that, because it's really bad for humans, you could inject fentanyl and xylazine, say, on your right arm, and come up with this huge necrotic wound on your left arm. I'm talking about disgusting, but fascinating looking. Like, if doctors don't know what it is, they tend to want to amputate. But if they know what it is, so I didn't get to go to this talk, but I paged through their slides. I can share it with anyone who wants their presentation. But there's people who've learned how to treat it. And so apparently the standard in dermatology is if a wound is wet, make it dry. If it's dry, make it wet. Well, they say for this one, it needs moist wound healing. And so they've had some success. They showed pictures over 10 to 12 weeks from like beginning to say 12 weeks later, and it was like 60% healed. Talk about months for some of these wounds to heal. Think about someone in active addiction and they get one of these wounds and they wait till probably the last minute to go to the ER because it's so bad. And then they have to keep their wounds changed. They have to change their wound dressing for weeks. I mean, how consistent are they going to be with that if they're not really wanting recovery? Are they still using? Are they still going to be exposed to xylazine? So that's a huge one to watch out for. And I found a graph last night. I was looking at this. I can't remember from where, talking about, I think it was DEA or someone testing like samples for this particular contaminant. And I think it's been in the Northeast for a little while, but it's increasing. And the biggest increase is guess where? In the South. It was like a few years ago, maybe 200 samples tested positive and now almost 600. So that's a huge increase for that one. And anyway, enough of that one. But then there's still focus on cannabis. People aren't letting that one go, at least in these fields. People are still acknowledging, yes, it's an issue. We need to keep an eye on it. So I took their opening slide to give credit where credit's due. Someone from CDC was there. Susan Weiss from NIDA, this Dr. Kenneth Fenn from International Academy of the Science and Impacts of Cannabis. One of their slides, marijuana is of course the most used drug. People ages 12 and up, it was about 22% of people ages 12 and up have done marijuana. And I thought it was interesting that heroin's on the bottom of that list. But still a big concern because if there's fentanyl in it, then those overdoses are going to get a lot of attention. So this is person 12 years and over, but for adolescents, 8th, 10th, and 12th grade, this graph was interesting, and they've got some data going back to the 70s, but really starting around 1991, they started tracking younger kids. And for 8th and 10th graders, there's not really an overall change in past year marijuana use, but you can tell if you look closely for the 12th graders, it was about 21% there to 30%. So I highlight that because while use is going up, perceived harmfulness is going down. And if you haven't seen this one before, I like the DEA slide about increase in THC concentration. Marijuana's gotten stronger and stronger. I say what Cheech and Chong used to be smoking was 3 to 5%. That's not what they're smoking now. It is easily 15%. That is an average. And so the strong potency weed, I'm talking about just the stuff you can smoke, the stuff you can get on the street can be 25 to 30%. That's not wax or dabs. Those can be like 60 to 90%, right? But so the smokable stuff is anywhere from really 12 to 30% these days, which is a huge increase. And as you can see, CBD, this bottom line, CBD concentration has not increased. So some people want to say, oh, CBD maybe could mitigate the negative effects of THC. Whatever in the God-given ratio, maybe that was true, but as it's been, I call it highly agriculturally engineered, good gardening, however you want to call it, the CBD concentration has not gone up. So again, this is what the DEA is seizing samples of. I've heard clients and say, well, I get mine from the dispensary and I know the concentration is this or that. Well, I hope it's this, because who's regulating that, right? It's not federal government, probably not the state government. So you're hoping they're policing themselves, these dispensaries, saying that this is what's in our product. All right. And another one from the same group, past month drug use in 12th graders, that alcohol and cigarettes has decreased from early 90s to now. And we think that's because the perception of harm is, oh yeah, we know alcohol and cigarettes are probably bad, smoking's probably bad. Marijuana, not so bad. The use has slowly but surely increased from about 12% to 20%, for that's past month drug use amongst 12th graders. So again, as they said, the perceived harmfulness of smoking marijuana is going down while the concentration is going up. Psychoactive substance has gotten, I can't do math, who's good with probabilities? It's gotten what? 4 times stronger at least. And people think, oh, but it's not as bad, right? Okay, the next one, how Georgia was represented. They had this panel on the development of House Bill 1013. They had Representative Mary Margaret Oliver, they're a Democrat, Representative Todd Jones, a Republican, Kim Jones, Executive Director of NAMI, and Jeff Breedlove, if you haven't met him, he's cool to know, a strategic policy advisor with the Georgia Council for Recovery, who's a certified peer specialist and a CARES, which is, see if I can get this one, certified addiction recovery empowerment specialist. Yeah. And then Kevin Tanner was the moderator, our commissioner for DBHCD. So they highlighted kind of the need, like why we needed this bill in Georgia, the disparity that was happening with insurance and coverage. They pulled this information from the CDC around just 2021 and between 2018 and 2021. Suicide trends in Georgia, over 1,500 lives lost in 1 year. I like this, kind of blows my mind that over 1.4 million adults in Georgia have a mental health condition, twice the population of Atlanta. So in half of the US individuals with a mental health condition didn't receive any treatment in that year. And Georgia was only slightly better than that national average. Instead of more than half, we were at 45.4% of the adults who needed healthcare, mental health care, didn't receive it due to cost. And they talked about how, youth with depression are more likely to drop out from high school, and that we do have a homelessness issue, of course, with 1 in 6 persons with homelessness having a serious mental illness. The insurance problem that Georgians are 4 times more likely to be forced out of network for mental health care compared to primary health care, resulting in higher out-of-pocket costs and difficulties finding care. I mean, even when I get a client with insurance and I have to try to help them find somewhere else that takes their insurance, sometimes they have a really hard time. So, and that, there's considered a mental health professional shortage in Georgia. Uninsured rate 13.4%. And I think John will talk on some of this, the criminalization of mental illness being a problem. Why is it still so much in the jails? Why aren't we doing more outpatient or inpatient treatment? So that the need that it got to here. So I didn't know this story. If you don't, it was really cool to get to hear the beginning of it. Was that the late Speaker Ralston, his wife is apparently the one that pushed him to really do this, and we really need to help people. Like, can we just stop thinking about the next election and really help people? And so then Speaker Ralston kind of knighted the 2 representatives from either side of the aisle to lead the charge on this. And so I think they were the House majority, House minority leaders at that time. And so a resolution formed this committee that became like the search committee, gathering information. So it had healthcare practitioners, mental health professionals, legislators, law enforcement, even some judges on this commission that did interviews, heard testimonies from advocates and experts for about 2 years before they made their recommendations for the bill. Then, of course, it passed with flying colors. I mean, there was a lot of edits, but it passed in 2022 with a few other bills that affected mental health. There was a lot of other interest in the room, in the audience, from how Georgia managed to do this, but in a bipartisan manner. So, whoops, there's our picture, Mr. Tanner. And a group picture there. See Miss Kim Jones from NAMI there. Can't figure out where Todd Jones is. There's Mr. Jeff Breedlove, Miss Mary Margaret Oliver.
I think the screens are advancing on Zoom. I don't know if there's anything we can even do about that.
It's showing to me it is, but let's see. So see, Chris, are you seeing the slides change?
No, you're sharing the wrong screen. You're sharing the one on the laptop that shows whatever the deck is, not the presentation. So
but it's showing the slides change?
No, I only see the first screen, but I see the rest of the deck under it. It's just PowerPoint.
It's showing, but that's what I'm sharing. Okay, I'll try again.
Share a different screen.
My goodness. Okay, now I see.
I'll also be sending out these slides.
Okay. Just don't let Rachel touch the computer.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, we're good now.
Okay, tell me if you see it change. Now my clicker's not working. What happened?
You touch the computer.
Can you see that change?
Yes.
Okay, so there's our pretty pictures, Tom.
Thank you.
All right. Hold on, Tom. All right, I'm trying to spend too much time, at least maybe a good 10 minutes on this. This what I thought could be the most helpful for this council. There is a messaging campaign for youth called Better Without It, focusing on Gen Zers. Came out of the Brever Prevention Coalition, which is from Brever County, Florida, that East Coast. And they partnered with a marketing agency. I don't know how they partnered with a marketing agency, if they paid them or they volunteered their time, but it's been really well done. And get into that. Now I have to switch to a different thing. So let's see how that works. Uh-oh. On Adobe. Maybe I need to go ahead and put it. Oh, this looks different than mine. How do I get this on full screen? Anyone?
Escape.
Caroline is, so.
The things are in a different order. Where's there's a view or something. No. Then I have to go back to Zoom. Share. Okay, screen share. All this one. So now I don't know. I need to go back to college for this. Do I need to close out just because oh, is PowerPoint gonna project that? Yeah. Really don't know. Close it to the grid. Yes, I do. Look at stuff on the screen.
Trigger thing.
Oh, yes. Okay, but will it show on Zoom now? Oh, I gotta get it back. Yes. There you go.
Yeah, no, I've never actually looked back.
All right, thumbs up. Can you see it?
Yep, we got it.
Awesome. I don't think this. No, I got a different here. Okay. There we go. All right. So Stanley Briz, I think you could become BFFs with him. He's the executive director of this coalition, addiction counselor. And I think it's like a full-time paid position for him. And these two people from a marketing agency that partnered with him to design this messaging campaign. So what they did at first was to, well, wait, so this might be interesting, their funding. It looks like they've got funding from the ONDCP's drug-free communities.
That's how we're funded.
Okay, cool. They also have some funding somehow from their healthcare system and their Department of Children and Families. So, all right, so they focused on, or they, for us at least, identified like who is Gen Z, what are their values, what are they busy doing? Born in the mid-1990s to early 2010s, grew up with smartphones in hand and defined by the Great Recession, COVID-19 pandemic. What are they watching and doing? A lot of course, online stuff, electronic dance music. Who didn't know what EDM stood for just a second? And then I was like, oh, I have to look it up. K-pop, I know what K-pop is. And of course, they're all over social media. These are some of the colors associated with Gen Zers. They're very much aware of their personal brand. And I explain that as how they know that how they present themselves to other people is just as important how they feel or view themselves. They're inclusive, they have this sense of social responsibility, like they've got to fix all the problems that we're leaving them. And that active participant in the marketing ecosystem, I just think influencers, right? Some of my kids, like, I want to grow up and be an influencer. Who's heard that? Like, that's a career now. So how to talk to them about drugs. They focused on empowering them. At the end, I'll try to play, if there's time after Dawn, I could play one of their videos otherwise we could just send it out in the links, because they have a whole YouTube channel and a website on like the little commercial bits that they've made. But it's not just about saying no, I think this one says like, it's about what if I don't become the person I can be? What if I don't reach my full potential? What if I miss out? And then focusing on encouraging a skill. So picking up a skill, a hobby, something fun, something you're passionate about, and really doing a strength-based approach to say, okay, if I went to drugs, I wouldn't be able to do this. So skipping through some of their philosophy stuff here. They focus on building brand familiarity, the real talk content about substances and the benefits of being substance free. Some of their subtopics where your mind is better without it, your body is better without it, your relationships are better without it, and your future will be better without it. So like they might have a video just for your relationships are better without it, and some like a young person talking about that. They had some American Ninja Warrior younger folks that I think must be local to the area, do a couple of bits. I don't think they're necessarily in recovery. It's just, this is my passion. This is how much fun I've had. This is what I've accomplished at my young age. Look what I've done. Wouldn't be possible with drugs. They made up a mobile game too. I won't go into that, but I thought that was cool. It's like you're supposed to avoid the drug paraphernalia and focus on the candy or something. So that just, how could they reach people, TikTok reels and commercials, and then the game. And they really did a good job of tracking the engagement. Like they have numbers on this side of 5 million teens and young adults reached with their ads and content. I mean, this is out of one county in Florida, one county, right? And 13,000 social media followers, to the point they actually got over 240 people to do surveys for them. And then they had 25 youth signed up to sort of put back into the campaign to make content and do focus groups for them. Let's see. So their current priorities, keep growing on social media, keep illustrating what better looks like. What does it mean to be my best self? Whether they're commercials. And this may not be as relevant for us, but it's super cool that they have somehow created a school-based diversion program for 8 weeks. If a kid gets caught with a first-time like drug possession or use offense, the schools can choose to refer to this 8-week program. So it's up to the schools to refer, but if they do, the option is they can stay at their base school instead of going to their version of Gateway, their alternative school. They can stay at their base school and do this 8-week program. The parents have to come to like the first session and then the last one, the graduation. So ideally, if after the school makes a referral, they reach out within 5 days to get these kids engaged. And then 4 weeks of group counseling. I said not necessarily consecutive, but 4 weeks of counseling. They have a project. They give them time, dedicated time to work on like a 1-minute reel that could be used for the Better Without It campaign. So they have to come up with their own like messaging thing. And if it meets all the criteria, they'll publish it with their permission. They'll publish it online. So providing them with a meaning or an opportunity to meaningfully engage in prevention that's again about that 2-week project of the kids creating the video, and then they're presented to the class if they want to for feedback. Then they have this other thing. I couldn't be sure exactly how the timeline worked for this Level Up Your Skills program. It might have happened over the course of the 8 weeks. They said they use gamification principles to encourage kids to basically pick up a skill, like level up your skills. I mean, that could have been anything, I think, from art to interior design, music, but to do something where they level up, they get better at this skill and then present it to their peers. And so they call it the final quest was to present their work to their classmates and facilitators for feedback. And then the week 8, the parents would come and be part of a discharge session, final drug test, recommendations for aftercare. If they needed aftercare, it was just recommended, it wasn't required, for them to do it, for them to finish this program. And this is their stats as of February. So I mean, it's pretty, I think this is like nearly brand new, like within the past year or two that they started doing this. They say they can't change their numbers once they've submitted the presentation to the conference. So I guess it had changed as of April, but as of February, that's how many they had referred, the active enrollment 72. Again, this is across the whole county, all the schools in the county. I don't know what unsuccessful completions mean, is that they make it through, but were they still positive? I'm not sure. Remember that, John? But, so I just thought that was really neat that how long they're doing so much. And they have some good support there. It's possible for them, it's possible for us.
Yes, we have a girl who's doing a social media campaign, so we'll link them up because
They seem willing to share, they're trademarking some of it. I mean, there was a TM somewhere, but the head guy, Stanley Rose, indicated they're willing to share what they can, and I don't know how the trademark works, if you just have to share directly their stuff, or can you add to it? Yeah, probably not. Oh, and because they do more, they're extra, they have this follow-up kind of mentorship type program. If they've completed their 8-week program, they'll invite them to this meeting and lure the parents there with $15 gas cards. And if the kid wants to do something else, let's say their level up project was to get better at photography, they might link them with a professional photographer for an internship. Again, really building that passion, that focus on keep yourself busy on something positive, not drugs. So their takeaways are something that's appealing to the youth, strength focus, that's more impactful than remember the here's your brain on drugs, whack. I remember that one, smash the egg. Guess I didn't go so far for some, but the strength based, and they had a cool booth too. They had, I think this is not their first campaign. They had another one I found on I Choose Me. And their visual artist, muralist from that messaging campaign was there at the exhibit hall as well. So, all right, enough of that.
No, that was actually good. I appreciated that. One thing I noticed is that they're not talking to the parents. You know, we spend a lot of time in our council sessions talking about how do we get to the parents? How do we get them to listen? I think they're deaf until the point of trouble, which is what this program implements. It doesn't bring them in until they've got in trouble and they take this course, you know, this path.
And it's a pretty low bar for the parents, even in this 8-week program, to show up for the first and the last. I mean, but again, this is your first time offender kids. Oh, not my kid. I can't believe this happened. Don't send them to the school. So I guess they're trying to make the bar kind of low, kind of catch them early. So
I don't know. We'll talk about that. I want to talk with Drew a little bit more about that process. We've had some other input that I've heard, something like the diversion program, and try to take care of it differently. And we've talked about how to get back into regular high school, and that might be a good route. So we'll see.
I was hoping you would pay attention. All right, I'll let you take over, John.
Figure out the technology now.
yeah, Sonia.
Yeah, you're old enough to remember the Just Say No from Nancy Reagan, and I am. I'm almost jealous that they're better off without it. It's something, I mean, it's really relevant. I think it's just so much more practical than the Just Say No was. So, my name is John Dawson. I'm a lieutenant with the Hall County Sheriff's Office. I wear a lot of different hats. I'm also a social work, working on a master's in social work. That's how I came to be hooked up with you guys. Jeremy was my supervisor when I did my clinical work with Avita. And I worked a lot with Danielle, and she helped me along with a lot of my skills in that area. Right now, I used to be over training for the patrol division at the Sheriff's Office in Hall County. Now I've been moved to work on our we don't have a behavioral health unit yet, but we're developing one, and that's what I'm over. So I work in the jail division, and right now I'm overseeing kind of our liaison with the Avita and trying to put together all of our things that we're going to do to serve the Sheriff's Office in Hall County is going to do to serve people with mental health needs. substance abuse issues. So this conference, thank you so much for allowing me to go. It was, I learned a lot and it fed a lot of my different hats that I wear. So I'm gonna talk about some of the things that stuck out to me. See, I guess I need to use the mouse. All right.
Go back to Zoom screen.
Zoom. Let me go to Zoom for some reason. Okay, here we go. Okay. Just making sure. That one, yeah. Can you Zoom folks see that?
No.
I think I've clicked it.
Now we got it.
Now you got it.
Yeah.
Okay. How do I get to it? Is that it? Did slide change?
Yep, we're good.
All right. So we were there through April 1st through the 4th in Atlanta. It's fun driving to Atlanta every day for that many days, but made it work. I chose to highlight some of the different breakout sessions that I went to. Danielle and I went to some of the same ones, and there were some other ones that we didn't go to together. I kind of went to some of the ones that focused on law enforcement partnerships. So a lot of it was very interesting. First one that I wanted to point out was police deflection programs, developing public health and public safety partnerships in small to mid-sized communities. A lot of them have really long names, which is a full mouthful. One of the concepts that kind of a underlying theme in a lot of law enforcement stuff was the idea of deflection, which is connecting people to treatment instead of just arresting them. And some of the ways they went about doing that in these specific communities was self-referral, first responder referral, community responders, co-responders, making referrals, officer interventions, pre-arrest diversion, and post overdose outreach. So if an overdose had occurred, somebody would follow up with those people to offer. I felt like maybe the populations that I deal with, but I felt like in these places there were a lot of options for treatment programs. Like, you want to go to treatment? Okay, we got you. And it feels like a lot of either in our area or the populations I deal with, okay, you want to go to treatment, you're going to be on a waiting list. So it seems like and I'm not sure if it's, like I said, not sure if it's my populations or if it's just the area we're in, it seems difficult to get into treatment. Some of these places, it really felt like, you want to go to treatment? Okay, here you go. Like there was no delay. They moved them right in. And some of the places, the three agencies that kind of all were doing different things, different spins on this. They were really high opioid, high overdose areas. And Kentucky seems to be the epicenter for the opioid epidemic, or one of the high areas. But the Shakopee, Minnesota Police Department had what they call the Recovery Assistance Program. They did a little bit of that deflection and diversion to get people into treatment. Hope Not Handcuffs is a Village of Liberty, New York. I think it's like a suburb of New York. It's kind of an upstate, very small area, very high percentage of opioid overdoses. They had a thing where people could walk into the police department and say, I want treatment. And they would call somebody, I think they called it an angel, come in and work with that person and get them into treatment. Jeffersontown, Kentucky, I think it's a suburb of Louisville. Apparently the opioid epidemic is just rampant there. And they had a lot of different things going on. They had co-responders, but their thing was the REACH program, respond, evaluate, advocate, connect and heal. But all that stuff was focused on community partnerships, which is sometimes difficult to do. All right, the next one, another big long name that I want to highlight, healthy leaders, healing cultures and helpful responses of trauma-informed continuum to sustaining flourishing of impacted families and responders. Talked a lot, and I think you remember this one. This one was very impactful for me. Talked about trauma and ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, how they really lay the groundwork for addiction, and usually there's something underlying with people that are in the throes of addiction. One of the profound quotes that I got from this one was, when we stigmatize people who use drugs, who we are really stigmatizing are people who have been deeply hurt by childhood trauma. So that trauma-informed response is super important. Talked a lot about how the stigma associated with abuse can be a barrier to getting treatment. This one had a short name. So this one was easy. Police and Peers, a partnership that creates pathways. They're really focused on West Virginia and their response to the opioid epidemic. And it was really a lot of the law enforcement stuff had to do with, okay, you got law enforcement here and you've got advocates over here, and there's not a lot of common goals in that. But they talk about law enforcement stigma towards drug users, an emphasis on blame and social distancing and perceptions, the belief that whoever they surveyed, 54% of law enforcement officers don't believe addiction is a disease, and majority perception is male, lower class, white, employed. I can, speaking from experience, that's probably true most of the time. I would say that's a true perception. Now, on the flip side of that, drug abusers see law enforcement officers as having harsh judgment, criminalization, fear and mistrust, social exclusion, labeling and stereotyping, a lack of compassion. I think law enforcement has earned the way drug users may see them in many cases, seen as a barrier to treatment, power imbalance, and that there are legal consequences. One of the breakout sections I didn't bring up talked a lot about the consequences of drug convictions for users, and how that really falls on the rest of their lives, and how we as a society may need to look at how we're doing that and how we're stigmatizing people who have been convicted of drug crimes, and just may need to look at how we deal with it as a society as a whole. So one of the things that West Virginia does, they kind of had all their spokes in the wheel focused on their substance abuse response plan. So everything, all these different components of pregnancy and parenting, recovery community, public education, law enforcement, they all had their different hands. I thought this was a really good illustration of all the different partners that need to come together to deal with substance abuse. Now we're back to the long titles again. Patrolling the streets from conflict to collaboration, how law enforcement and harm reduction can work together. So this was the very last one that Danielle and I went together. The idea of harm reduction is not something that really coincides well with law enforcement goals and thinking about law enforcement. But harm reduction is a public approach aimed at minimizing the negative consequences. So like safe injection sites, clean needles, things like that, that I know from most of the law enforcement side, we're not doing it. That's a waste of time. And I think depending on where you are, the political climate of where you are, that is a reality. Nobody wants to subsidize people doing things they shouldn't be doing. However, the primary goal of harm reduction isn't to eliminate these behaviors entirely, but minimize the risks associated with things that people are going to do anyway, which I have to change my way of thinking about things in order to wrap my mind around the idea of harm reduction. But I think it has a place, because they really, they had a cop talking, and they had harm reduction person talking, and he was actually a drug cop from Massachusetts, and worked for HIDA, which is the high.
Intensity drug
Trafficking
trafficking area.
We have one in Atlanta, Carolinas, but it's called HIDA. But he was a street cop for a long time, and he's like, this is a bunch of BS, this, harm reduction crap. And he had really kind of changed his way of thinking, and really seen that there are similarities. A lot of the goals of law enforcement and harm reduction are the same. Really, when nobody likes to get a speeding ticket, right? Everybody hates speeding tickets. When you get one, what do? Slow down, right? So we're going for a behavior change. So this harm reduction stuff is that same mission, but just from a different approach. Harm reduction is about building relationships and community trust. When they talked about safe injection sites, the harm reduction people were saying there's more going on there than people just be getting stoned out on couches watching Jerry Springer. There are conversations about recovery. There's information about recovery. I'm not advocating we should open safe injection sites. I'm just saying this was a different way of thinking to me and a different way of looking at things to deal with substance abuse disorder. Community well-being is the overall goal for law enforcement and these risk reduction people. So they pointed out the keys to transforming the relationship, the 6 C's, the community, commitment to community, core mission to save lives, compassion, clear mind, communication, collaboration. So I can see where harm reduction and law enforcement are both have those same goals. So overall, some of the key takeaways for me from the overall conference, and like Danielle put, it was like trying to drink through a fire hose. There was a lot of information and a lot of things to think about, and I'm only touching on a few of the breakout sessions. But deflection, connecting folks to treatment instead of incarceration, and accountability courts. I know you all have accountability courts here in Forsyth County. We have them in Hall County. We were one of the, I think we were one of the first judicial circuits in the state. Something weird where our judge's name was Deal and the governor at the time name was Deal. So somehow we got to be the pilot for that thing. Harm reduction, a new concept, like I said, I don't know that I'm all about it, but it can mitigate risk for behavior, and I think it could probably be a pathway to recovery for some people. A lot of cultural things, how society views people with substance abuse disorder, how cops look at substance abuse disorder, and how people with substance abuse disorder look at cops. Makes me think about some of the people I've arrested over the course of my career that were in desperate situations that I didn't have a lot of compassion for necessarily. And it's hard to have compassion and do your job sometimes as a cop. But looking back on it, I can see where some people were in the throes of their substance abuse. And hopefully my intervention, even as clumsy as it was, hopefully the intervention helped them at some point. I didn't touch on it, but several of the things I went to talked about substance abuse treatment for people that are incarcerated. Some places where I think opioid use is much more prevalent than it is here. Not saying it doesn't happen here, but it is, but they have the use of some of the medications to mitigate opioid abuse in jail that are being administered in jails. That's kind of been a non-starter. I know in our jail at one point, there were no opioids allowed, period, end of story. That was and one of the breakout sessions, they said that's violation of civil rights. So I immediately went back to our medical staff and said, are we still doing that? They said, no. While we don't have a regimen for detox, if somebody comes to jail and they're court ordered to have medications, we administer those. So some interesting things going on there. Overall, there's a huge emphasis on partnerships. And this group right here is a partnership. They talked about when you're going to form partnerships, making sure you find the right organizations, but not only important to find the right organizations, you got to find the right person within that organization. That really, the very last breakout session that we went to, there was a young lady that asked a question at the very end that I think we both rolled our eyes at. Really sticks with me. She was a harm reduction person, and she said, there's just a huge power imbalance between me and the law enforcement. They're gonna arrest me if I go talk to them. And, you know, the cop, the HIDA guy was like, you know, you need to find the right person at that law enforcement agency. Not everybody's gonna lock you up. There are people within that organization to have that conversation with, and there are not people that have that conversation. So finding the right partners in those organizations is very important. So having a data-driven approach to everything, whether that's knowing your audience, whether sometimes that's quantitative results where you're going to use numbers to convince somebody that this is the right way, and other times you're going to have to use that qualitative results, the stories of success to convince some folks. So like I said earlier, I appreciate the opportunity y'all gave me to go. It fed all the different hats that I wear. It opened my eyes to a lot of things and really gave me a good opportunity to get some information about a lot of different things. So that's all I have.
Thank you guys.
Do you want to see one of those video messaging things from YouTube?
I'll send them all out so that we can get everybody out of here. If anybody does have any questions, comments, concerns, want any more specific detail information, I'm sure John and Danielle will be here for a couple minutes after, so you guys can ask. I'll also just send out all those slides in the email, so you'll have that data and those links and everything.
And by the way, for any of those presentations, even the ones that I didn't go to, or their handy dandy app, I can download their slides that they use and send it as a PDF.
So if there's any specific type of data that you guys are looking for, marijuana, xylazine, you know, anything that she went over, let's get in touch with Danielle. We can get those specific data points. It's good to have that. At the end of the year, the council, we do put out a fact sheet of all of the one-liners from these council meetings. But if there's specific data that you guys need, let's get in touch with Danielle. So other than that, meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was gonna wait, I couldn't see you for a whole time. I used here, it's like, I don't think they were talking about. Get my journal.
Nice to meet you. I'll email you with my information.
Yeah.
What I do.
Yeah.